Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from wherever you are connecting. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, understanding and living by that is transcendence. Understanding and living by that is transcendence. Consciousness is one that has been flowing from the times immemorial, from the dawn of human civilization, and it shall continue ere long. In this process, many have contributed through their flowering, through their awakening, through their understanding. Look at me, O passers-by, as you are now, I was ever. As I am now, you will be. This is the process of seed becoming flower and flower returning back to the seed form. It is a continuous process. Many paths, many roads, many masters have enriched this journey and will continue to do so. There are two things, bondage and liberation. They exist as two sides of the same coin. Discarding one for the other leads no transcendence. Understanding that both bondage and freedom are two sides of the coin. There is a subtle connection between the two, and then living by this understanding is transcendence. I did not say that leads to transcendence. First, it is transcendence. This understanding has to come to you. Then you start living by that. Whatever we have in our lives, whatever attributes, they have a significance. First, to understand and then go beyond this. If you do not understand darkness, you will not know the significance, you will not cherish the value of light. If you do not understand greed, you will not know what it means to go beyond. You will not transcend if you do not understand sex and live by that existential bioenergy. Understanding is transcendence. And the journey continues. First step is understanding. The second step is living by that understanding. Whatever it is, you did not earn here. You were given these things in the seed form. The existential bioenergy, its role in human transformation and transcendence, the other attributes, all were embedded into you. Try to understand this. There are people who consider life as bondage, money as bondage. What are they doing? They leave the home, they leave the family, leave the riches, leaves the things of the world, leaves the society to go out of the bondage. Does it mean that these people have really gone beyond the bondage? Yes, it is true. You can relinquish this for some time. When you are recuperating, you are suffering from an ailment, you have to keep away from certain things so that you can gain a certain kind of immunity, and then you return back to the same. Buddha left the palace. Buddha left his wife, son, father. But after enlightenment, he returns back to the palace to share what he has attained. When he comes to meet his father, father could not see in Gautam, the Gautam Buddha, the light, the awakening. He was seeing his son Siddhartha because of his attachment to his own desires. Buddha said, the person that who is standing in front of you is not your son anymore. It is a light, it is a flow. Father tried to convince him that why do you have to be a wanderer, wandering bare feet? Look at your body, look at your shattered clothes and everything. I can provide everything here. And you can continue. When he goes to Yashodhara, because he has escaped, a poet has said, Yashodhara asked Gautam certain questions for which he had no answer. He said, she asked, if you had decided to go on this path, I would have not tied you in bondage. But there was a fear always in man that if I follow that path, somebody may bind me along that path. Try to understand this. What is the nature of the bondage? What is the nature of greed? What is the nature of existential bioenergy? And what are you doing with it? I have heard of a saint who never touched money. But you remember, money is the measuring rod. It is one of the valuable commodity that we need. You can have your approach towards life, towards everything will change. That change in the approach, there is a very important statement. There are people who are living to eat. Living to eat. And when change takes place, you eat to live. Eat to live healthy. Eat to live your desired life, length of your life with vigor, is another approach. You can live to eat. This is world. To eat, to live. It is liberation or freedom. You are running behind money, or your approach is different. You are not attached to it. It is not everything for you. When your approach changes from living to eat to live, the transformation process has begun. This person, who cannot touch the money, he is respected. He is bound to be respected by those who were mad after money. Those who are leading the life of a renunciate or celibate, they will be respected by those who are running behind the bodily comforts. If you put money in his hand, he will throw it as if he has touched the poison, as if you have put some scorpion in his hand. He will throw it and he will become scared. People fast, people become scared of talking about sex and things like these. There is something that they have not understand. Whenever topic like this comes, a subtle trembling begins within. What is happening? You remember, the man was considered to be superior to women. Do you know, really, biologically, every man is born in the process of growth is a woman before the process of growth within the womb is completed. In the beginning, fetus does not have the gender. The light of oxytocin and the other hormone that develops the female genetical organ and male genetical organ is not on as yet. Like a spacecraft is going to land on moon, its thrusters, its switches are turned off. They are not turned on. When it is only at the 14th week of the pregnancy, this switch is turned on. Then it is determined whether this fetus will grow as a male or a female. Then the female organ clitoris and male organ penis are formed. So both have emerged from the same origin. If a particular type of hormone dominates, clitoris becomes penis. Otherwise it remains. So in the beginning of the growth process, every man is a woman, female. Gender is determined. This is biological. Biological truth in the process of development of fetus. From fetus to baby, when the baby is born. There are many mysteries which are difficult. which you need to understand in order to go beyond. Now, what is your first home? Some may say, my mind, my heart, my qalb, this or that. It is not so. Every human being's first home is uterus. That is where your journey has begun. You were conceived, and the process of the conception completed in fallopian tube. Then the fetus moves to uterus, where it grows until it is ready to be born. At a certain stage in the process of growth, at 14 weeks, that means between 6 to 7 months, the process of gender becomes clear. So this is an understanding, and when this understanding comes, transcendence is bound to happen. Everyone is fighting with something or the other. Someone is fighting with money, next one is fighting with greed, someone else fighting with his anger or his lust or something else. If somebody is fighting against money, that means he must have been greedy person. He must have too much greed. Only then he has moved to the other extreme. Those who are critical of sex, look at deep within, that you would have too much attachment towards that. You would have been, whatsoever you are against, you remain at one time or the other obsessed by it. Only those who will criticize sex, who have been obsessed by it. If you are not obsessed with anything, money exists, it has its use. Sex has its use. Greed has its use. And nothing bothers you. There are many things in your house. You are not bothered for it. They have a utility. The living room set, the refrigerator, the fridge, the expensive carpet, the vehicle, all have usage, purpose of being in your place. So in your body, that is your home, all these things have utility. You do not sit on the living room set for 24 hours. You do not sit in the car for 24 hours. You do not sit in your restroom or the bathtub forever. You go there for a certain purpose. When that purpose is finished, you come out of that. You do not stay 24 hours in your bedroom. You do not sit down. Your lights do not remain on 24 hours. It is switched on and switched off. When you have the need, you switch on the switch for the bathroom, restroom. You spend the time, whatever is necessary there, then you come out and you are on the other journey. Is it not natural and normal with our lives? Have you ever given an understanding to these things? Everything is in your house. The hard currency is in your wallet. The plastic currency is in your wallet. Everything has a utility. Money has a utility. The living room set has a utility. But what is lacking is the consciousness, the understanding how and when to turn on this switch and how and when to turn off this switch, how to turn on the switch of your appetite, how to turn on and off the switch. If you continue to keep your switch on for your eating habits, it may create obesity, and so on and so forth. I have heard there are people who would never look at the women. Never look at the women. One person comes to me. He said he is interested in meditation and talks, but he has interest in looking at the pornography. Should I leave that? I said, no. You have to change your approach, how you approach a particular aspect. You have a desire, you have an interest in pornography. I will not tell you to leave that, but instead I would like to make a change. Enter into it meditatively. You have an interest in sex, enter into it, but meditatively. Let meditation, let that understanding be the guiding principle behind whatsoever you are doing in life. You are going to the restaurant to eat, let that guard, the security, your understanding or your consciousness be the guide. How much to eat, how much not to eat, how many times to involve in sex and what not. You are interested in watching pornography, be meditatively. Do it in a meditative way. What is meditative way? In order to go into meditation or in order to go into exercise, you do not go in jacket and tie and so. You use loose clothes. You create an environment. You can have a very pleasant music flowing. Maybe you can light an incense. This is the beginning. So when you are going to watch the pornographic movies, go ahead and do it. But do it meditatively. Take a shower or keep the loose clothes on. Keep a dim light in the room and light an incense. Then the quality of the act will change. You do not have to leave it. You do not have to ask me how to leave it. It will automatically create a different kind of satiation in you. When you are eating, the food is there in front of you. How you are consuming it within, it does happen at times when you are served something which you have not been served for a long time, you overeat. I would suggest when you are eating meditatively, there is a limit. You eat a certain amount, you know how much you eat. If there are additional things, at times this is normal. My question is, when somebody invites me for a dinner or something, let me look at the menu first. What is the different items? Out of these, I may taste one little piece of each. So once it happened, one person was sitting with me and both of us took our plates to go to the buffet table. He picked up the items accordingly. I picked up one piece, smallest piece of each of them. He said, "That's all you are doing?" I said, "Watch, there are 50 different or 15 different items. I do not know which will be the need at this hour or taste wise. So I am taking a piece. And after that, whichever one appeals to me at that moment, in the choice first my focus is whether this particular food is based on this principle, living to eat or eating to live. My focus is, principle is in anything, eating to live. What should I eat according to the age and time? If there are the fried potato chunks in the Western diet, you see, or sweet potato also, I will opt for the sweet potato. A better choice. And then sometimes the dessert comes afterwards. Someone will say, "You're not taking the dessert." I said it was not on the menu, so I did not choose it, but it is tasting very good. Oh, really? It is tasting good? But remember, my stomach is not a garbage bin where you can throw everything. In garbage bin does not complain, you can throw anything in it. If you say it is so good, give me a small container. Instead of one piece, I'll take 2 pieces. And when the time will be right in the next meal, I'll use it. That should be your approach. You are not obsessed with money. You are not obsessed with female face. You are not obsessed with pornography. Nothing. I have heard 2 Buddhist monks were passing through a forest. They came across a river. River was raging. It was deep. A woman was standing on the shore, and the 2 monks, one was young, the other was older. And Buddhist monk they abstain from women. Touching the women, something may arouse in them sentiments, sensations, so they do not. The women ask the older, thinking that the older one will have a better compassion, that, "Can you help me to cross this river?" He said, "No, he cannot touch a woman." Then she approached the younger one. The younger one said, "Okay." He took the woman on his shoulders and crossed, but the older one, when he was moving forward, he kept on looking backward. When he was on the side, he was looking towards how the younger person has this woman sitting on his shoulders and walking. He was walking meditatively. The older one was obsessed with the female face and female touch. And then reached. When they reached, they told Buddha, the older one said that this is what happened. The younger one touched a woman, helped her to cross the river. Buddha said, so Buddha inquired, what was the incident? The younger one said the woman was standing on the shore for help and there was no way. So I took her on my shoulders and helped her to cross the river. Do you know the woman? No, I do not know. I only helped her to cross the river. Buddha told, the incident is over. You are still carrying the woman in your consciousness. The older one, he told, is still carrying the women in your mind. That scene, the younger one carrying the woman on his shoulders, women both are in physical touch with one another. Nothing was happening to the younger one, but you are feeling different. What is the problem? The older one may have been too much obsessed with sex in his life, and he has renounced it. He has abstained from touching the female. That shows the obsession. There are people who are so much against it, that being against such things, against food, against money, shows their obsession with it. It can never lead to liberation. You are thinking that sex is an obsession, sex is a bondage, money is bondage, and so you want to renounce it. Understanding is transcendence. Understanding is liberation. Understanding and living by this. What is the purpose of the money? What is the purpose of the living room in your house? What is the purpose of the rest room? It has a certain purpose. Maybe once in the morning you go to the bathtub or to take a shower. You go on your toilet bowl when there is a need. Is that obsession in your mind about it? Or is it good or bad? It is the need of the life. You do not stand in front of the kitchen 24 hours or sit on your living room set for 24 hours. You sit on the living room when there is a need. You stand in the kitchen in front of the stove only when it is needed. You use the money only when it is needed. After that, you are not counting or continuing the obsession. That means the person who is against female or sex, that means he is still obsessed. But then he was running, maybe he had been running after money, running after women, and now he is following the spiritual path, so he wants to renounce the money, but not saying that he had been obsessed by it. If you clearly accept that you were obsessed by it, then the process of transformation can begin, not otherwise. But he is still obsessed with women. Whether you are talking about it or not. Obsession is there, but it can change the direction. If while talking about the money, I am talking about the money, I am talking about sex, I am talking about greed, simply to bring an understanding in you so that you understand very clearly what is bondage and what is liberation. But your situation is not that. You are against it. I am neither against nor for. You may think that I am in favor of money or I am against money. I am neither against money nor I am for money. I understand it has its utility, its importance in life, and that is what has led to the process of transformation. This person still thinks that now he is liberated from women. That old monk thought that he is still liberated from the woman. But when women ask if he was liberated, he would not have any problem when the women asked, because there was no other way to help the woman to cross the river except putting her on his shoulders. So that means he is still obsessed. So he denied. But the younger one said, when the women approached the younger one, can you help me to cross the river? He knew very well that in order to help her to come out of this river that is an obstruction in her life, in her path, he has to carry her on his shoulders. He has to touch the woman. He agreed. Because there was no thought, otherwise there was no thought of bondage or liberation. The word bondage and liberation did not exist in his consciousness. And that's why he has transcended. He immediately agreed when the women asked. He let her sit on his shoulders, and he continues. So women has to hold him also. So there is a complete touch of the body. The two bodies are touching one another. She will have to hold. He may have to hold her feet also. And that is the only way to cross the river that was an obstruction in the path of the women. So this is understanding what is bondage, understanding what is liberation. They are two sides of the same coin, like head and tail. If you do not want to go beyond that, you know, beyond the duality of head and tail is the juice that is there in front of you. You are aspiring to taste that juice, the nectar. You can only attain to this nectar by going beyond, attaining, not attached to head nor attached to tail. You are not deciding, not considering head as bondage or tail as a bondage, not considering head will lead you to transcendence or tail will lead you to transcendence. You have to abandon both, the duality. You have to abandon the duality. The moment you abandon the duality, you transcend. The monk helped the woman to cross the river of life that was flowing in as an obstruction in front of her. Many times we come across this situation when in the process of transcendence there is a river that is flowing. You cannot cross over to the other side of the river. on your own. You need someone who you can take a boat, but the difference between that, boat boat is that state. To the boat, neither the attachment nor the bondage is important. She is beyond that. So that monk became the boat, and the women sailed, sitting on that boat, riding that boat that the monk has become. The monk has become the boat. Riding that boat, the women sailed through the river of life to reach to the other shore. This shore was world, the other shore was transcendence. To cross from one shore to the other, you need a boat who is not attached, who is not for her, for the boat. The word bondage and transcendence, bondage and liberation does not matter. An awakened one, an enlightened one is like that rafter, like that boat, which knows no word like bondage and liberation. Neither bondage bothers him, nor liberation bothers him. For him to touch the money, touch the woman, touch the man does not matter. This is what he told Buddha when he inquired from him the entire incident. What happened? The older monk is saying that this younger one should be expelled from the commune because he has gone against the path of renunciation, against the principles. He has touched a woman, and that too a young woman. He said, I am the rafter, the boat. I simply helped someone who needing the help to cross over the river of life to reach the other shore. The moment this understanding dawns, you neither are bothered by bondage nor aspire for liberation. These two words become redundant for you. The sutra is very deep, as I have said many times. Whether you use the MacBook, the Apple technology, or Samsung Windows technology, the two technologies operate on a different principle, almost opposite to one another. Almost opposite to one another. But they serve both. Type your letter, both do the same thing. One requires more resources than the other. So whichever is within your means, follow that. I am that salesman, that shop that carries both the Apple products, Samsung products, and other products. It's your choice. What your capacity permits you to take. When you go, you decide according to your financial capabilities, resources. If you want Apple products or Samsung products, if you want this path, as I said, both systems, Apple, Mac, there are other operating systems also. Whether you are using Google, whether you are using Firefox, whether you are using any other search engine, you will attain to everything. But Google has become more common among the people. That is because of the advertisements and so popularity. Before Google attained that prominence, everybody was using the other techniques. But now Google is the first choice of everyone as the search engine. So it's up to you. This sutra is very deep. It says, since in truth bondage and freedom are related, they are not opposite. Somewhere or the other they are touching one another. If you can make a tunnel, the one end is the entrance, the other end is the exit. Certain places where large number of people are attending, there is a separate entrance and separate exit. When you are going to a movie theater, in order to have the control that all those people who are entering, they have a ticket. So there is entrance. And when during the process somebody wants to go out for something, they have entered, they have used their ticket, they are given some kind of a token signifying that he has already entered the place and then he's coming out and then entering back again. So entry and exit are separate. So head and tail, you can enter the tunnel from any side. One who is coming from east will enter this way, one who is coming from the west. If you have ever been to a tunnel is through and through. People can enter from both sides, but the people who are entering from the right side, they will drive on this side. The people who are coming from the left side, they will be entering from a different. On the road is made in such a way that people from all the directions can use the same road, but the tracks are different, lanes are different. The southbound lane and northbound lane differs, but they are all part of one road. For efficiency and for practical purposes, the lanes are there. The northbound lane, the southbound lane. Wherever there are intersections, there are different. In the life, you can enter from this end or from that end, depending on where you are. If you are living in south, you will be entering the road from the southern side. If you are living in north, you will be entering from the northern side. If you are living on the side roads, for some purpose you had been to a side, east or west, then there are intersections. Same way in the process of growth, this bondage and freedom are the two directions. You can enter from the direction of freedom, you can enter from the direction of the bondage, but understanding is most important. What is freedom? You say freedom is not bondage. And what is bondage? You say not freedom. You can define them in relation to the other. Freedom is the absence of bondage, and bondage is absence of freedom. You are defining in your own way. They are not just like hot and cold. They are just like hot and cold, not opposite. The same thing which is cold becomes hot. Something that is hot becomes cold after some time. What is hot? What is cold? Hot and cold, they are defined not by absence of one or another. They are defined by the degree of the temperature. Degree of the temperature on the thermometer. It is the one that defines the degrees of the same phenomena. Water is the same, hot or cold. The difference, what defines cold? The lower temperature. What defines the hot water? The higher temperature. It is the temperature that defines the two opposite worlds, hot or cold. If it is cold, its temperature will be at a certain, and then in between there is a situation, lukewarm. Lukewarm means it is neither too hot nor too cold. And that is what understanding is. But the phenomena is the same. They are relative. That which is cold now can become hot through a process. That which is hot can become cold by another process. This process is what is important. Not hot, not cold. Not bondage, not freedom. Bondage or freedom are made of the same substance, is the degree of the temperature. If there is in one bucket cold water, in another bucket hot water, and you put your hands in both, one hand will feel the hot and one in the cold, what you will feel. If the two buckets, one has a hot water, the other has a cold water, what you will feel? Your hand will feel the temperature of the two buckets, and then you can define the water of this bucket is hot and the water of this bucket is cold. Isn't it so? Such a simple understanding. Albert Einstein is reported to have said, if you have understand something very complicated, and you have the ability to express it. Understanding is the ability to express the complex matters into simple terms so that ordinary human being can understand it. What does it mean? It is the understanding that hot and cold are not against to one another. There is simply the difference of the temperature of the two substances which are same. The same water that evaporates because of the intense heat from the surface of the rivers, lakes, when that becomes cloud, when there is condensation, the temperature, rain clouds release the water and it is released. But the rainwater, the water that has evaporated from the surface of the lake, which was dirty, they are not consumable. When it evaporates, becomes cloud and then it rains, the rainwater is considered to be purest water. It can be used for consumption. The same sex that has been polluted, when it transcends and evaporates and it descends on you, it becomes pure, it becomes sublime. You have understood the process, only then it becomes the light. The rainwater is purity beyond. Purity beyond the lake water, light beyond sex. Liberation is light beyond bondage. And how you can attain to that light? Only not being by antagonistic to it, instead understanding it. Only this much for this morning. When I am taking any particular sutra, it takes a long for me to explain because it has to be explained in its so many dimensions. I am not in a hurry. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.